I'm Detective James Sullivan, widower father to Mia, my disabled daughter. This is our war against a vicious HOA despot. 5 years ago, my wife Emily died in a workplace accident, leaving me to raise our daughter Mia alone. Mia, now 12, has muscular dystrophy and uses a wheelchair, but her spirit is fiercer than anyone I know. We moved to Willow Grove, a quiet suburb in eastern Pennsylvania, seeking a community with accessible parks and a fresh start. As a detective with the local police department, I took the job to stay close to Mia, balancing stakeouts with her therapy sessions and nightly story time. Willow Grove's green lawns and community parks seemed ideal for her, but I didn't expect the venom of Debbie Kessler, the HOA president, who turned our haven into a battlefield. Willow Grove was sold as a family-friendly retreat, but Debbie, a 60-year-old retired accountant with a pinched face and a lust for control, ruled it like a personal empire. Her HOA edicts were suffocating: no unapproved shrubs, no kids' toys on lawns, even restrictions on dog breeds. Her community standards were a facade for her dominance, enforced with steep fines and public berating. I ignored her initial letters about my porch light being too bright. Mia's needs medications, wheelchair repairs kept me focused elsewhere. But Debbie's obsession soon zeroed in on us, starting with cutting remarks that escalated into a campaign of hate. It began at a Memorial Day picnic in the community park. Mia and I arrived, her wheelchair rolling smoothly over the path I'd lobbied the township to pave. Neighbors welcomed us, kids offering Mia cookies and admiring her sparkly purple wheelchair. Debbie, stationed by the flag display, watched with a sneer. As I pushed Mia toward the lemonade stand, she intercepted us, her voice laced with fake concern. "James, Mia's lovely, but that wheelchair is a bit disruptive for events. Perhaps a less bulky option next time." I forced a calm tone. "Mia's chair is her legs, Debbie. She's staying." She pursed her lips and left, but her glare promised trouble. Debbie's hostility grew through the summer. She sent violation notices for obstructive equipment when Mia's physical therapist parked in our driveway, claiming it clogged the street. She labeled our accessibility ramp a visual blight despite its compliance with county codes. Neighbors gossiped about her fixation, but stayed mute, cowed by her power. Debbie's HOA board, a loyal posse of retirees, endorsed her every whim. She'd fined a family $800 for an unauthorized swing set and threatened to seize another's home over late dues. I tried diplomacy, but my tolerance was fraying. The real clash started in fall when Mia discovered the community park's playground. She loved the swings where I'd lift her from her chair to soar gently, her laughter ringing out. The park, with its wide paths and shaded benches, became our sanctuary. But Debbie saw Mia's presence as a flaw. One crisp afternoon, as Mia swung, Debbie approached, clipboard in hand. "James, this playground isn't designed for her situation," she said, loud enough for parents to turn. "It's a liability." I stood, my voice firm. "Mia's no liability, Debbie. She belongs here." She stormed off, but I knew she was plotting. By winter, Debbie's crusade intensified. She posted signs around Willow Grove. "No mobility devices in park areas for safety and aesthetics." It was a direct assault on Mia. At the next HOA meeting, I confronted her. "This is illegal. Debbie, the ADA guarantees Mia's access." She smirked, arms crossed. "James, the HOA sets the rules. If you can't comply, leave." Murmurs rippled through the room. A few neighbors nodded with her, but others looked uneasy. I left furious and called my colleague Sarah, a lawyer specializing in disability rights. She confirmed the signs violated federal law, but legal battles were slow, and Debbie was banking on that. Tensions boiled into spring. Debbie's allies shunned us. Someone spray painted "Move out" on our garage door, and I filed a vandalism report, but no witnesses came forward. Mia noticed the cold glances, asking, "Why does Debbie hate me?" "Daddy," I hugged her, my heart aching. "She's scared of your strength, kiddo. We'll fix this." Debbie's ego ballooned. She bragged on social media about preserving Willow Grove's charm, her posts showing a sterile, joyless suburb. She fined kids for chalk drawings, calling them vandalism. The community was stifled, but I refused to yield. The park became our front line. Debbie patrolled it daily, scolding kids for noise and banning certain games. Mia still wanted to swing, so I took her, defying Debbie's stares. Each visit was a gauntlet. She'd mutter about hazards eyeing Mia's wheelchair, while I kept close my badge, a silent vow to protect her. Some neighbors whispered support, others parroted Debbie's rules first. War skipped to it. "I'm a cop, Debbie. You're under arrest for assault, property damage, and disability harassment." Her face went pale. The crowd fell silent. She stammered, "You're not serious." I nodded as officers I'd called arrived. Sirens piercing the air. Neighbors cheered, some crying, as Debbie was led away. The park erupted into chaos as I cuffed Debbie, her wrists twisting against the metal, her smug facade shattered, replaced by a mix of shock and fury. "This is outrageous," she shrieked, her voice echoing across the playground. "I'm protecting our community." But the neighbors weren't listening. Parents clutched their kids, some filming the scene, others shouting at Debbie for her cruelty. Mia, cradled by Mrs. Rivera, sobbed, her face pale with pain and fear. I glanced at her, my heart pounding, and whispered, "Hang on, Mia, Daddy's here." Her small nod fueled my determination. This wasn't just an arrest, it was the start of dismantling Debbie's reign of terror. An ambulance arrived minutes later, its lights flashing against the park's oak trees. Paramedics rushed to Mia, stabilizing her leg, which was already swelling under her jeans. The sight of her in pain, her wheelchair toppled nearby, ignited a rage I barely contained. The lead paramedic, a calm woman named Lisa, confirmed a likely fracture and urged immediate hospital transport. I rode with Mia, holding her hand as she whimpered, while officers took Debbie to the station. Neighbors followed in their cars, a convoy of support that surprised me. Mrs. Rivera, tears streaming, promised to meet us at the ER. Willow Grove was stirring, and Debbie's actions had lit the fuse. At the hospital, x-rays confirmed a clean break in Mia's tibia, requiring a cast, and 6 weeks of recovery. Dr. Nguyen, the orthopedic surgeon, assured us Mia would heal, but warned of emotional trauma. "She's been through a lot," he said. "Keep her surrounded by love." I nodded, guilt clawing at me. I'd seen Debbie's hostility but hadn't predicted her violence. Mia, groggy from pain meds, squeezed my hand. "You stopped her, Daddy," she murmured. Her trust humbled me, but I vowed to do more than stop Debbie. I'd make sure she faced justice. Back home that night, I tucked Mia into bed, her cast propped on pillows. She clutched her stuffed owl, her eyes heavy but calm. "Will Debbie come back?" she asked. I kissed her forehead. "Not to hurt you, sweetheart. I promise." After she slept, I sat at the kitchen table, replaying the day. My phone buzzed with notifications. The neighbor's video of Debbie's attack had gone viral on X, amassing millions of views. The footage was harrowing: Debbie's snarl, the pipe's glint, Mia's scream as she fell. Comments flooded in, calling Debbie a tyrant and Mia a hero. Willow Grove, Karen trended, and local news requested interviews. I ignored them, focusing on Mia and the fight ahead. The next morning, I met with Sarah, my lawyer friend at the precinct. She'd reviewed the video and witness statements, her expression grim. Debbie's facing serious charges: aggravated assault, child endangerment, property damage, and ADA violations. She said, "The video's damning, but she's got friends in high places. Expect a battle." I filed a formal complaint with the Department of Justice's ADA division, which launched an investigation into the HOA's discriminatory practices. The no mobility devices signs still posted in the park were removed by noon, but the damage lingered. Mia's leg was broken, and Willow Grove's trust was fractured. Debbie's first court appearance was a spectacle. She arrived in a crisp blazer, her lawyer spinning a tale of self-defense and community protection. Debbie claimed Mia's wheelchair had blocked the playground, and she'd only meant to move it when Mia fell. The lie was absurd, and the viral video played in court demolished her story. Mia's cry echoed, and Debbie's face twitched. Judge Harlan, a stern veteran, set a high bail citing the heinous act. Debbie's allies paid it, but her reputation was unraveling. Social media roasted her, and her accounting firm dropped her as a consultant, citing ethical concerns. Willow Grove's response was mixed but galvanizing. At an emergency HOA meeting, residents packed the community center, their anger palpable. I attended Mia at home with a sitter, her cast a constant reminder of why I was there. Mrs. Rivera took the floor, her voice trembling. "Debbie ruled us with fear, fines, threats, now violence. We're done." The room roared. A shy retiree, Mr. Patel, admitted. Debbie had fined him $1,000 for a non-compliant shed, forcing him to sell his car. Story after story emerged, families harassed kids, scolded, creativity crushed. The HOA board cornered suspended Debbie and promised new elections, but the crowd demanded more. Debbie's loyalists fought back. A handful of neighbors clinging to her standards posted on X that Mia's presence provoked the incident, claiming wheelchairs cluttered the park. One wrote Sullivan's abusing his badge to ruin Debbie. The backlash was fierce. X users slammed them and the post vanished. But the division hurt. Mia overheard a neighbor's kid whisper, "Her dad's making trouble." She came home quiet, asking, "Am I bad?" "Daddy," I knelt beside her. "You're perfect, Mia. They're just scared of change." I vowed to protect her from the noise while pushing for justice. The community began to heal. Mr. Patel organized a Play for Mia event at the park, raising funds for her medical bills, and a new wheelchair families showed up, kids decorating Mia's cast with stickers while parents grilled burgers. A new park sign read, "All welcome." Mia, propped on a picnic bench, giggled as friends drew hearts on her cast. But Debbie's shadow loomed. Her lawyer filed motions to dismiss, arguing lack of intent and public pressure. Sarah countered with testimonies from Mrs. Rivera, the teen volunteer, and others who'd witnessed Debbie's months-long vendetta. The case was airtight, but Debbie's defiance tested my resolve. By fall, the trial neared, and Willow Grove was changing. The HOA elections ousted Debbie's board, electing Mrs. Rivera and Mr. Patel, who prioritized accessibility. They installed a wheelchair-accessible swing funded by donations. Neighbors defied Debbie's old rules. Bright garden gnomes popped up. Kids drew chalk murals, and a teen hung a tire swing. Debbie's sterile vision was fading, replaced by color and life. But Mia struggled. Nightmares of the pipe haunted her, and she flinched at loud noises. Her therapist, Dr. Carter, helped her cope. But I blame myself. I should have acted sooner. The trial began in November, a media storm. Reporters swarmed the courthouse and X buzzed with updates. Debbie testified, her voice quivering, claiming she'd panicked and never meant to hurt Mia. Her lawyer painted her as a devoted leader, undone by a misjudgment. Sarah shredded the narrative, presenting Debbie's text to her board, calling Mia a nuisance and plotting to drive Sullivan out. The video played again, Mia's scream silencing the room. The teen volunteer Ethan testified about Debbie's relentless harassment. His voice steady, Mrs. Rivera recounted the vandalism on our garage, linking it to Debbie's allies. The jury's faces darkened. Debbie's defense called her cronies who mumbled about park safety, but their claims crumbled. Sarah's closing argument was fierce. Deborah Kessler didn't just break Mia's leg. She broke a community's trust, targeting a child for her disability. Justice demands consequences. The jury deliberated for 5 hours. The verdict: guilty on all counts: aggravated assault, child endangerment, property damage, and harassment. Debbie's shoulders slumped. Judge Harlan sentenced her to 2 years in prison, $15,000 in restitution, and mandatory sensitivity training. The courtroom cheered, and I exhaled, relief washing over me. Willow Grove breathed easier. Debbie's imprisonment ended her grip, and her house sold to a family who planted a wildflower garden, defying her rules. The DOJ's investigation fined the HOA $60,000, redirecting funds to park upgrades. Mia's new wheelchair, customized with star decals, arrived, and she named it Stardust. She tested it at the park, rolling to the new swing as Ethan pushed her, her laughter echoing. I watched, my throat tight, knowing she was reclaiming her joy. The guilty verdict was a seismic shift, but it didn't erase the pain Debbie had inflicted. As winter cloaked Willow Grove in snow, I focused on Mia's recovery, physical and emotional, and on nurturing the community's newfound courage. Debbie's prison sentence stripped her of power, and her old allies scattered, their influence fading like footprints in a storm. Her house, now home to a lively family with 2 kids and a dog, bloomed with colorful holiday lights, a defiant middle finger to Debbie's drab standards. But healing was a jagged path. Mia's leg was mending, but her trust in the world was bruised, and I carried the weight of not protecting her sooner. Yet her daily resilience, her laughter, her stubborn spark pushed me forward. Willow Grove was awakening. Mrs. Rivera and Mr. Patel, the new HOA leaders, launched a Willow Welcomes initiative, hosting workshops on disability rights and community inclusion. The park's accessible swing, installed for Mia, became a hub for kids of all abilities, from a boy with autism who loved its gentle rhythm to a girl with crutches who swung beside Mia. Neighbors stopped whispering about Mia's wheelchair. They celebrated it, kids decorating it with glow-in-the-dark stickers during a winter festival. At a tree lighting ceremony, Mia flipped the switch, her cast peeking from her coat, and the crowd roared. Her smile lit up the night, and I felt a flicker of hope. Willow Grove was becoming the home I'd envisioned. Not everyone embraced the change. A few of Debbie's diehards, led by a cranky landscaper named Roger, griped about the overboard accessibility upgrades, claiming they ruined the park's look. Roger posted on X, "This HOA's gone soft, wasting money on ramps for one kid." The response was swift. Residents flooded his post with photos of kids using the new swings, captioned, "This is community." Roger's wife, mortified, dragged him to apologize at a neighborhood coffee meetup. "We were scared of Debbie," she admitted. "It's no excuse." I shook her hand, sensing their regret. Change was messy, but it was taking root. Mia's therapy with Dr. Carter was a cornerstone. She sketched the attack, her drawings turning the metal pipe into a snake. With Debbie's face, Dr. Carter guided her to reframe it, casting Mia as a warrior who'd slain the beast. One day, Mia brought home a sketch of herself in her wheelchair, a crown on her head labeled Queen Mia. I hung it in her room next to her bed. "I'm not afraid anymore," she said, her voice steady. Her nightmares dwindled, replaced by dreams of swinging and friends. I marveled at her strength, knowing she was teaching me as much as I was protecting her. Legally, Debbie's case lingered. She appealed her conviction, arguing prejudicial media from the viral video tainted the trial. Sarah, our lawyer, was ready, filing a civil suit for Mia's medical costs and emotional distress. The appeal crawled through the courts, but Debbie's odds were slim. The video witness testimonies and her own texts were a noose. The DOJ's investigation into the HOA wrapped up, mandating 5 years of ADA compliance checks. The $60,000 fine funded a sensory garden in the park with braille signs and wheelchair-friendly paths. Mia planted the first flower, a daisy, and grinned for the local news. The headline read, "Mia Sullivan seeds Willow Grove's future." Debbie's time in prison seemed to shift her, at least on paper. 8 months in, she sent a letter to Mia and me, her handwriting uneven. She apologized, claiming her need for control had blinded her to compassion. She mentioned her court-ordered sensitivity training, saying it changed her perspective. I read it with skepticism, unsure if it was remorse or a parole tactic. Mia, wise beyond her 12 years, shrugged. "She can be sorry, Daddy, but I don't need her." I hugged her, awed by her clarity. I didn't reply to Debbie. Her words couldn't undo Mia's pain, and our focus was on moving forward. Willow Grove's rebirth extended beyond Mia families who'd been silenced by Debbie's fines. A couple harassed for their rainbow flag, a widow scolded for her messy roses, spoke out. The Willow Welcomes program grew, hosting block parties where neighbors shared stories of Debbie's tyranny. One evening, a teen girl confessed Debbie had fined her family for a loud birthday party, forcing them to skip groceries for a month. The room rallied, and by morning, yards sprouted signs, "Love lives here." Debbie's gray world was gone, replaced by a mosaic of defiance and joy. My work as a detective took on new purpose. I'd always seen my badge as a tool for justice, but now I used it to advocate training officers on disability rights and speaking at township meetings about inclusive public spaces. My precinct nicknamed me Detective Dad, and I leaned into it, bringing Mia to community outreach events. She charmed everyone, handing out stickers and explaining how ramps make the world bigger. When the township approved a new accessible library, Mia cut the ribbon, her wheelchair gleaming. "This is for everyone," she said, and I choked up. She was rewriting Willow Grove's story. By spring, a year after the attack, the park was alive with color. Kids raced on the new paths, parents chatted on benches, and the sensory garden bloomed. Mia, her cast-off, swung daily, Ethan pushing her as they laughed. He'd started a peer group for kids with disabilities inspired by Mia's grit. At a community potluck, Mrs. Rivera unveiled a plaque by the swing, "Mia's place where all belong." Mia blushed, whispering, "That's me, Daddy." The crowd clapped, and I fought tears. This was the Willow Grove I'd fought for, a place where Mia shone. Debbie's release came quietly in the summer after 18 months with good behavior. She moved to a condo in a neighboring town, her career and influence dead. A neighbor saw her at a diner looking worn, her head down. I didn't gloat. Her punishment was losing the control she'd wielded like a club. On X, a few loyalists mourned her vision, But most posts celebrated Willow Grove's revival. One read from Bakun Aren't Willow Grove, Karen to Dr. Willow. Welcomes, thank you, Mia. I showed it to Mia, and she grinned. I'm a star daddy. Mia's 13th birthday was a park extravaganza planned by her friends. The swings were decked with streamers and a cake shaped like a crown sat on a picnic table. Ethan led a scavenger hunt and kids took turns on the accessible swing, calling it Mia's throne. Mrs. Rivera gave a speech, her voice thick. Mia and James showed us what courage looks like. Here's to them and to us, cheers erupted. Mia in a glittery dress raised her soda can. To Willow Grove, she shouted. I joined in, my heart full. This was her victory. The party lasted past sunset, stars blinking above the park. Mia rolled to me, her eyes bright. Daddy, I'm happy here. I knelt, hugging her. You made it happy, kiddo. She laughed, then zoomed off to join her friends. I watched the pain of the past year easing. Debbie's cruelty had scarred us, but Mia's spirit had healed us. Willow Grove wasn't just a suburb, it was a testament to a girl who turned hate into hope. As fall arrived, I took Mia to Emily's grave, our annual ritual. She placed a daisy on the headstone, whispering, Mom, we're okay. I told Emily about Mia's triumph, the park's transformation. The breeze felt like her smile. Back home, Mia showed me a new drawing. Queen Mia soaring over a park, neighbors waving below. This is us, she said. I hung it by her first sketch, knowing our story was still unfolding. Rooted in struggle, blooming with love. Willow Grove kept evolving. The HOA won a regional award for inclusivity, and Mia spoke at the ceremony, her voice clear. She rolled out in a cape Ethan made, grinning for photos. I stood back, my badge gleaming, my pride in her. Boundless, Debbie was a memory, her tyranny replaced by a community that saw Mia's light. As winter loomed, Mia planned a sledding party, insisting on an accessible hill. Everyone plays, she said. I laughed, agreeing. She'd taught me that love was the fiercest rebellion. Years later, the park incident was a distant fire that forged us. Mia grew into an advocate, studying policy to fight for others. Willow Grove remained her home, its paths etched with her courage. Debbie faded into irrelevance, a warning of what happens when control trumps compassion. But Mia, she was a legend, her wheelchair, a chariot of change. And me, I was her dad, forever grateful for the girl who transformed a town, and my heart with her unbreakable will.